So these nuggets are made from chicken, but they're made to emulate the taste of like non-chicken nuggets. So these nuggets are made from chicken, but they're made to emulate the taste of non-chicken nuggets. Dope. Let's boost that sound quality. Emulate the taste of non-chicken nuggets. Emulate the taste of non-chicken nuggets. Dope. Non-chicken nuggets. Non-chicken nuggets. But they're made to emulate the taste of vegan nuggets. Sounds tasty.
Hey, Kevin.
Hello, Christiana. What's up?
Just kind of hanging out, going live with you for how to make video podcasts in Descript. Welcome, everybody. I'm Christiana. I'm the community manager here at Descript. And our guide, our host, our ray of light today is Kevin, as usual, product specialist. And yeah, we're talking about video podcasting today.
Yes, we are.
Kevin, do you watch any video podcasts? I'm curious.
I love when an audio-only show will share video clips because most of their interviews are in video now, and so it's a
Totally.
good look under the hood, behind the scenes. Like who we're listening to, but nothing
Absolutely.
video first. How about you?
No, yeah, same. Not video first, but like, I'm gonna out myself as Gen Z here and a TikTok obsessed person, but I'll always get like clips from my favorite show on TikTok. And so like that's the video component for me. But I'm curious about folks in the chat. Tell us, have you already made a video podcast? Are you looking to add that? Where are you in that process? And what's your show about? Thank you for being here.
Mhm.
And we're going to show you how to make a video podcast in Descript today. But before we do that, I am going to do a couple of housekeeping reminders. Let me share my screen very quick. Cool. And bring that down so you can see it. Sweet. So this is what we're going to cover today. Kevin's going to show us how to import, transcribe, and record our video. We're going to walk through Studio Sound, which is our AI-powered audio repair feature. We're going to go over editing using the script and the timeline, replacing audio and video, correcting your transcript, collaboration, scenes, adding captions, video effects and transitions, adding intro and outro music, and of course, exporting and publishing. Couple reminders. In Crowdcast, if you're watching over there, use the Ask a Question section for your questions. We have Marcelo from the support team helping you out today. And then use the chat for reactions, chatting, commentary, all of that stuff. Sometimes Crowdcast will freeze. If that happens, you can refresh your browser. But we also have people watching on YouTube right now. Hello over at YouTube. So you can jump over there if this isn't working for you, and we can see the YouTube chat as well. So we'll bring up the questions from there too. This is recorded right now to YouTube. You can check it out, and we'll send it out in the follow-up. And if you need more help after this, check out our help center at help.descript.com. And of course, we have a great Discord with over 10,000 members where you can get community help. And lastly, if you're new here, if you're new to Descript, use video podcast at checkout for 1 month of Descript Pro, and we'll send that link as well. Something just popped up on the screen. I don't know what it was. Something about someone having a flat tire. I hope that works out. I hope you get that fixed. But I think that's all of my little reminders for you. Kevin, do you want to take it away?
Should we jump in?
Let's do it.
Cool. Well, we are here today to talk about video podcasting. There's a
Oh, yeah.
bunch of ways to make a video podcast, and I think there's different definitions of it too, as well. Also, the question: is there such thing as a video podcast? So I'd love to hear the thoughts in the chat. But we're going to talk about kind of standard interview style show and how to bring in video, how to record video, how to edit, and really just make a nice fine-tuned video podcast in Descript. So we're going to try something new today. We're going to first jump in and just show you a pretty high-level workflow, kind of bare bones, but start to finish. We're not going to stop and answer too many questions. We're not going to dig too much into the workflow itself and the first go around, so that when you watch this, you watch the recording after this, you can replicate the workflow, pause it, start, stop it, and you don't have to go and search for the time where we actually start talking about making the thing. And then we'll go back after we finish the workflow, which might be about 20 minutes, 15 minutes. We'll go back and do it step by step and explain the process, maybe the decisions, why we're doing certain things, how we're doing certain things, answer questions along the way, and really break it down for you. So just note that we're going to go very fast, very higher overview, higher level, the first 15 minutes of this, and then we'll break it down step by step from the beginning.
Perfect.
Sweet.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and share my Descript window here, and we'll jump in. I'll talk through it as we're going, but we'll go pretty fast first. Here we go. So I'm going to start by making a new project. And the most common way of bringing in files is probably going to be choosing files that you've recorded. So I'm going to choose a couple video files from my computer from an interview between our friends Marilyn and Petra. And these are 2 MP4 files. I'm going to add speaker labels. These were recorded on Riverside, I believe, maybe Squadcast. We're going to combine into a multi-track sequence. These are 2 separate files, one file for Marilyn, one file for Petra. So it's really nice if like Petra's dog barks while Marilyn's talking, I can go and edit that out without affecting Marilyn's audio or video. But these are going to transcribe for me. I'm going to import the files, transcribe, and when it's done, we'll have a really nice looking transcript, which will be a script that shows everything they've said in this interview, as well as a timeline in the bottom for more precision edits when we need to just make some fine-tuned adjustments to the interview. A couple things in our layout here with this scene rail. When we want to add or change visuals or layouts, we'll add a scene, which is kind of our equivalent of like a slide deck or a PowerPoint. We have our canvas here, which is going to show what we're actually seeing in our video output. Like I said, the timeline will be down here. And then when we click on a clip or any visual image, we'll be able to change the properties. So let's just start. I'm going to do some editing real quick for a few minutes and kind of go through.
1, we are officially recording now. So we are recording. My name is Marilyn Moser. I am the Influencer Marketing Manager.
I'm going to edit that out, get a nice clean start. And all I'm going to do is edit the text in the script. And it's going to remove that section of video.
My name is Marilyn Moser. I am the Influencer Marketing Manager here at Descript. And I am so honored. And
okay, that's a nice start. I always love starting with removing of some filler words. I'll explain this later, but I'm going to use our ignore strikeout feature and apply to all. That's going to remove all of these filler words. I use ignore so I can bring them back. I'm also going to make some changes to our script so it's nice. When we add captions, I'll show you that shortcut later on.
And I am so honored and wonderfully excited to be chatting with my good friend and musician, wonderful independent musician.
Looking pretty good. I'm going to go and check out the ending of this. Make sure it's a nice...
The outside real world had just disappeared in a matter of days.
Yeah.
And as a musician and as a very social person, I did not know what to do because everything involved me interacting with other people, seeing other people, sharing my art with people. And for the first time in a really long time, I was isolated, like in my apartment.
Okay. Cool. So I'm going to make an edit here or some kind of fade out if I'm using this as a shorter clip. And pretty good. All right, it's an interview show, so I want to kind of make this look a lot better than the side-by-side Zoom style video. We have these multiple tracks that I can always see by right-clicking. I'm going to go into the sequence here. I'm going to add studio sound to them eventually, making sure everything looks pretty good. All right. Let's go up to the magic menu, run a few more things. I'm going to add scenes by active speaker. It's going to give us a nice full screen view for each person. Got that up in here in the stars magic menu. Now I have these 4 scenes when Marilyn's talking, Petra's talking, Marilyn's talking, and Petra's talking. Cool. I'm going to play the beginning a little bit.
My name is Marilyn Moser. I am the Influencer Marketing Manager here at Descript, and I am so honored and wonderfully excited to be chatting with my good friend and musician, wonderful independent musician, Miss Petra Gerard. She's coming to us today from New York City, and where she actually performs. It's
cool. I'm going to bring that back real quick. This
coming to us today from.
Actually, I want to remove that. But right here, I want to show Petra. So I'm going to select this in the script and create a new scene. Have her come in. Maybe right here. Add a little transition. Another transition. And now let's check that out.
Friend and musician, wonderful independent musician, Miss Petra Gerard. She's coming to us today from New York City.
And I'm going to clean up an edit in the timeline. And if you're just joining, you're wondering why this is so fast and why we haven't explained anything in detail. We are doing a full workflow from start to finish, and then we're going to go and recap everything in detail.
She's coming to us.
Cool.
She's coming to us today from New York City, and where she.
Great. Let's get some studio sound going. It's going to clean up their audio. It's in the audio effects. Just going to make them sound really, really nice.
Kevin, could you show everybody one more time how to add a scene?
Oh, yeah. Did the slash key on my keyboard as the shortcut. And I could also click in the script and click this slash right here.
Cool.
And I'll create a new scene. The short way to do it is I always say, like, if I want a scene, if I want a visual to change for this section, is I'll select that section and then press slash on my keyboard. And then I'll create a start scene and the end of the scene, which is really nice. All right, so we have studio sound applied. Now let's hear it.
My name is Marilyn Moser. I am the Influencer Marketing Manager here at Descript, and I am so honored
That's without studio
and
sound.
wonderfully excited to be chatting with my good friend and musician,
With studio
wonderful
sound.
independent musician, Miss Petra Gerard. She's coming to us today from New York City, and where she actually performs. That's where she's based out of. And today we're going to be chatting with her a little bit about how she's bringing her music and her artistry into the space.
Cool. I'm going to make a couple quick edits, and then we're going to export this and be done.
New York City, and where she actually she's New York City, where she actually performs. That's where she's based out of. And today we're going to be chatting with her a little bit about how she's bringing her music and her artistry into the space of TikTok. For those unfamiliar, TikTok is an enormous video sharing platform, typically short form videos anywhere from 20 seconds to 3 minutes. And Petra has built a really fun audience over there. She's been able to share some of her stories, share her music, and she's just a fantastic example of creators taking advantage of these new platforms. And today, I just wanted to chat with you, Petra, about your experience on the platform and maybe what you'd change. And so we'll get right into it.
A couple more edits.
Platform and maybe what you'd change. So we'll get right into it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Marilyn. Hello,
Yay.
Descript. I'm so happy to be here.
Amazing.
Okay, love it. All right, so I've gone through, made some edits, basically removed what I don't want to show up in the episode. I think I'm good to go, and I'm going to go into publish and export. I'm going to export this as a video file. Choosing all the highest settings. Do a little bit of normalization to get some high quality stuff, and then I click export. It's going to save this as a file on my computer or wherever I decide, and then I can upload it to YouTube, any of my publishing platforms, anything like that. If I only used one platform or one of our publishing partners, I might go actually not export the video file, but go into publish and choose YouTube, Buzzsprout, podcast.co, whatever it might be that I'm using for distribution. Whew. All right. That's our
Awesome.
workflow from editing, importing, editing, exporting. Let's break it down for everybody.
Sweet. Yeah, lots of folks are asking, how did you do this? Or how did you apply Studio Sound? And so what you just saw was the run through, the sprint. And now we'll take a nice light jog through everything that Kevin just did and walk you through each piece. I have no idea how this guy is making it look so clean. Well, Kevin is a champ. But also you can do this too, and we're gonna show you how. Kevin, a couple of folks were also asking, like, not just how, but why. So maybe as you're going through it, you could talk a little bit more about like the stylistic piece, why you made the edits that you did, so that folks can get like a little bit more insight into your choices as well as the actual how to do stuff. So
love it.
Cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're also like, we started with some files from Riverside or Squadcast. You also might want to record straight into Descript, or you might be using Zoom. So we're going to try to cover as much as we can in each step. The first one is going to be importing and transcribing from all these different locations. So first step, when you open Descript, you're going to click New Project in the top right corner. You can check out our Help Center as you're working if you want to learn more about these different shortcuts, or if you're working on a team or anything like that. Templates, our overdub feature. But basically in your drive, you're going to have a private workspace, just private to you, and a drive workspace for this drive, which if you are working with other folks, they will also have access to everything stored here. So I'm using this because I work on a team with a few folks, but entirely up to you. I'm going to click New Project, and that's going to open up. Let me cancel this download. I don't need that going. It's going to open up a empty project for me, and I can start to bring in some files or record my video. So let's start with our importing process. If we have files that we've recorded somewhere, whether it's Zoom or Squadcast or Riverside, or we have a live stream that we want to turn into a podcast, whatever it might be. Just know, depending on the tool you're using, we might have an integration built with them. So I know Squadcast and Riverside, you can import directly from that tool. So it'll just port it over from their cloud to our cloud. So you never have to download files. But if you have existing files, or you're using any other service like Zoom or anything like that, you're going to download those files to your computer and you're going to import them into Descript. So we're going to show you that process quick. Then we'll do some recording. I have some files on my computer, and you saw that I brought in two files, one for Petra and one for Marilyn. The reason, can't recommend this enough, to have separate files is, like I said earlier, is you can make changes to one of the files, one of the tracks, without affecting the other. If I had Marilyn and Petra on one track, one file, if I cut out something, say, like I said, if Marilyn's dog is barking while Petra's speaking, there's nothing I can do with that audio or that video to remove that background noise or that unwanted audio on one track and not the other. When you have them split out, I'll show you what that looks like. You can make changes to one and not the other. So record separate tracks when you can. especially with audio. So the way we import and transcribe in Descript is you drag and drop the files right in. So if it's part of an interview and you have multiple files, 2 or more, you're going to drag and drop those files in together at the same time. So you'll select both or all those files on your computer, which you can't see, unfortunately, because of our screen sharing limitations here. But I'm just taking them from my computer, my hard drive, and dropping them in at the same time right here. I'm going to drag and drop those in. You can also use the choose a file to transcribe prompt and select those 2 files at the same time and press open. So dragging and dropping these 2 at the same time, and it's going to start our import process. You're going to add some speaker labels. Maryland for each file. And like I said before, we're going to combine those into a multi-track sequence to give us that ability to edit these at the same time. And what that multi-track sequence means is on the surface, like we saw earlier, we have a single script, a single timeline, and a single video canvas right here. We'll have script, timeline, and video canvas. If we need to make changes to one of the tracks and not the other, we can right-click anywhere and choose Edit Sequence. So you can right-click in the script right here and choose Edit Sequence, and that allows us to edit one of the tracks and not the other. So this is always going to live here. Just note that. You can see there's some background noise in one of the tracks here. You can use one of our editing tools to remove that background noise, and it won't affect the other track, which is just really, really nice. Again, to get there, right-click in the script, choose Edit Sequence. We'll get into that in a little bit.
Hey, Kevin, can I throw a question in from the chat real quick?
Definitely.
Some folks, like, back to the basics of like recording multiple files at once. How do you record each person on their own track? A few folks in the chat are asking.
Well, it depends on the tool you're using. So with Zoom, you can go into your settings and change that so you get a different file for each participant. It's in your Zoom preferences. In Riverside or Squadcast, you just want to make sure you set that up in your settings when you're using that there.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's going to be a different process for each tool, so I can't give you a blanket answer, unfortunately. But
totally.
Check out their tutorials, help center resources, whatever it might be, to make sure you're getting one video file with audio attached for each participant.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just get if someone is like brand new to this, they're like, what? So check your settings. Yeah. And another relevant question, if you have separate audio files and separate video files, do you drag them all together, or first audio and video, or how does that work?
Yeah, if they're separated out, we're gonna do that one next, where it's separate everything. What we're gonna do is create a sequence first instead of dropping it into an empty composition or a doc that we call it, like I did at the beginning. You're gonna want to create a sequence first and match and sync all those tracks up, and then create this composition. What we're seeing here is a composition. This is where we have script, timeline, canvas, the scene rail, everything. And this lives within a project. But that sequence that we saw under the hood, behind the scenes, that's that original pairing of the files. And we might want to do that early on if we have all separate files. I will say,
got it.
This is a great, this is your call, I guess, if you do produce video podcasts or want to produce video podcasts that are remote, use a tool like Squadcast or Riverside. It's going to make your life infinitely easier. You're going to get better quality. Everything will be backed up really nicely. And they're just really pleasant and easy to use. So if you're currently on Zoom, give it a shot. Try one of those tools out and see which one you like. They both have free trials, and you'll just get some really great results. If you are using any tool that records separate audio and video files, check in those settings to see if you can just get an MP4 file, which is going to be video and audio paired together. That will also make your life a lot easier than having to pull in separate everything. but we'll walk through that if that is the case.
Awesome.
Cool. All right, I'm going to take a step backwards again because this is our first type of import. The second type of import is if we are bringing in a single camera angle or multiple camera angles, but one file for each participant for audio, perhaps. It's going to be a little bit of a different scenario. So you'll see it once we start to bring this in. I'm going to actually pull that footage into this same project. So if I can click this drop down up here, it's going to give me this option to add more documents, or we call them compositions. And this is where I can bring in more media. Just note that typically we create a project for every episode that we're creating. So I'd always go back to my projects, to my drive, and create a new project if I was bringing in a new interview for a new episode, something like that. But let's open this up real quick. That's the wrong one. This is it. Okay. Rename this stuff so I lose track again. So I'm going to create a new composition up here in this dropdown. It's going to give me this blank view again. I will rename it. It's going to be Adrian and Greg. Okay, so the scenario of this recording is there's two camera angles. One is straight on. One is kind of like a B angle, camera 2 angle off to the side. And both of these files have audio attached, but I only want to use one of them. So what I'm going to do first, and this will also work if I'm bringing in multiple files, like separated video and audio files, or if I have a single camera angle and then two different mics, something like that. Bunch of options here. It's kind of a very similar approach. Is we're going to create a sequence first. So where we go to get that is up to the media library in our insert toolbar up here. It's this play button, play icon. We'll click that. Then we'll go to add files in the right and choose sequence. So this is going to give us a blank, empty sequence that we had with those other files that we brought in, but here we can start to build it from scratch. So I'll relabel this Adrian and Greg. We have different tracks that we'll name. So I think we'll do camera 1 and then camera 2. Creating the sequence first gives us just a bunch of control. So depending on the files, depending on the recording, we might have a different approach. I'm going to go to my computer here, which you can't see. I'm going to drag and drop in these files one at a time. And I'm going to put the camera 1 video file on camera 1. And I'm just dropping that in right there. Looking good. And then I'll go to camera angle 2. And I will drag that in as well. And in this case, I'm only going to transcribe one of them. Reason being is I don't want to have double transcription for this once we create a composition from it. And the audio is the same for all of them. So it's feeding the cameras. So I'm going to transcribe this first one. And I'll click transcribe. And here I have the option, which is great. This audio is built into this file. So I have both Adrian and Greg on one file, one camera angle, which isn't ideal, but is sometimes the case. Descript is great because I can identify these speakers. So I'll click, there's 2 speakers there. I'll click done. And I'll be able to identify those as I go up. So I have this angle, camera angle 1. Then I also have this angle, camera 2, which I'll be able to switch back and forth to when I'm editing if I want to.
Some crispy video footage there.
Yeah, this is from our friends at Ecamm. These guys run the Ecamm Academy.
Cool.
Awesome. All right. Identify speaker. So you see this little button here. I can identify both these.
Yeah. No, we're not dancing. But it just gives the No, I actually laughed at this. Well, laughed. Laria, a lot of respect.
All right, that's Adrian. So I'm going to type Adrian here. So every time Adrian's speaking, it'll be labeled out for us.
Indianapolis. All the familiar faces.
And this one,
Oh.
I've seen him before.
Oh, he's over there.
Okay, some crosstalk, but that is Greg. So nice. It's going to be all labeled out for us. So, and also to avoid any double audio, I'm just going to mute this whole track just so we only have one piece of audio because we have audio attached to video. So I'm just going to go up here to our audio and click mute on this clip. And it's going to completely mute the audio. So when we're listening back, when we create this composition, which is going to be our next step, we're only going to hear audio from the camera 1 angle, not camera 2, which I believe was a direct feed from their audio device. So it sounds really nice. All right. Click done. Now I'm going to go back to that sequence and create a composition from it, which will give us a nice looking composition. So back to my media library, find that sequence I just made, right click and choose create composition from file. As you're watching this recording back, that whole process of importing, if this is your workflow, great opportunity, just like press pause, do the thing, maybe rewind it 20 seconds, try it again, and try to replicate the flow of getting stuff into Descript. All right, so we have this great looking script, timeline, and canvas.
Yeah, no, we're not dancing. But it just gives
taking,
a.
isn't it?
I actually laughed at this. Well, laughed. Laria, a lot of respect for her live streaming pros, but she does this, sits and kind of dances in the background.
yeah.
I'm
Looking good.
No,
All right. Beautiful. So we have these 2 camera angles in our sequence, and we can decide what we'd like to do with them as we go and edit, which we're going to do kind of closer to the end. But that is our second way of importing and transcribing.
Cool. Kevin, what if 2 cameras are not pre-synced? Can they be synced in Descript?
They can. So before you make this composition, you might want to create that sequence and let me unmute this so you can see it. You might want to move some stuff around to get those nice and synced. So you can move those camera angles around, figure out how to get them synced, and it'll look good, be ready for you to create the composition from them. So bring those files in, nudge them around, drag and move them so they're nice and synced up. Mute any tracks that you need to, anything like that. Click done like we did before, and then create a composition from this sequence. You'll be good.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah. All right. So let's go back. Actually, let me pause one more time. Any questions, Christiana, that we could answer about the importing process and just kind of getting our projects set up to start editing?
Let me see here. Yeah, recording has come up quite a bit.
Yeah.
So recording right into Descript. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Definitely.
Cool.
So I'll create a new composition here too. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say specifically, like, I think folks are wondering, when would I use a Riverside or a Squadcast, and when would I use Descript? So maybe we can talk a little bit about that difference.
Great question.
Cool.
Well, Riverside and Squadcast are optimized for remote recording. So you send your guest or your guests or a co-host, whatever, you send them a link, you create a virtual studio, and you record on their platform. It's really awesome. It just works on your phone, works on your computer. You select your video input and your audio input, and then you get those 2 or more files at the end of your session. So you have 1 file per participant. Makes it so ridiculously easy. Descript Our recorder is built in, so it's running only on one computer in one location, in one app here in Descript. So it's basically best used when you're recording something in your space. So if you have a studio space or your podcast is just you, or anything like that, works great. And we'll show off the recorder in a second here, but those are the main differences, is either you're doing remote recording or recording on site.
Cool. Awesome.
Sweet.
One thing before we keep moving on, some folks are saying like, whoa, I'm a beginner. This feels like a lot. We should have said this at the top, but this is not a Descript 101. This is like a use case specific event. We do Descript 101s every other week. So we have one next week, I believe. I'll grab that link and send it in the chat. So if this is too much for you right now, or you're not feeling quite ready for this, pause it, come back to it later, and join us instead next week. So don't worry, I'll send that in the chat.
Totally.
Cool. Okay. Go right ahead, Kevin.
All right. Our third way of bringing stuff into Descript, using the recorder. So we can record audio only, and we can record audio inputs, screen and camera. We're not going to cover those today because that's not video podcasting. We are going to cover camera recording. So we currently only support a single camera input. So just note that if you're trying to run multicam in your space, Descript is not the tool just yet for you. But if you have a single camera angle and an audio device, you can record really easily. You can also record your computer audio, which is really helpful if you're ever trying to pull something off of a newscast or some kind of library somewhere. You can record any audio output coming from your computer. There's also some pretty good hacks on recording a Zoom call directly into Descript or a Google Meet, FaceTime, anything like that. But like I said before, Riverside and Squadcast are really built for that use case. So using those tools for any remote recording will save you a lot of time and energy and production pain in the future. So when you're ready to record, you select your microphone input. So I'll just do just me for now. But if you ever had like an interface that had multiple mics or anything like that, you could set that up here. And you would record separate audio tracks. In that case, 2 or more mics. That's your go-to. That's in your settings right here. But if you're recording just a single mic, you'll select that microphone here, add a speaker. My name is Kevin. I'm going to say Kevin host. Different. That's all set for my microphone input. You can even see as I talk into it, it gives me a nice level so I can check that, make any adjustments on my mic, make sure that's hitting green and not red. That's our advice on mic inputs. And then you choose your camera input. In this case, this is my HD webcam. You can't see it here, but I have another window that just popped up. That is my camera. So I can take a look at my space, my lighting, everything I need to as I'm going, or even before I record, and make any changes there. And then when you're ready, you just push record. And Descript, it's so easy. Obviously, it's so easy to edit in Descript. We're just going to edit the text to edit the underlying audio video. So you just press record as early as you need to or you want to, and you can always stop as you need. Our script is going to populate as we record, so we can see what we're recording, confirm that we're recording. A great way to test mics out. So I'll say, like, Christiana, you say something, Kevin, you say something, and it'll be transcribed for us in real time. But when we're ready, we'll just take a quick pause and start to record. So maybe I'm going to do like a podcast intro. Welcome to the Descript podcast. My name is Kevin, and I'm your host. And today we are talking to Adrian and Greg from Ecamm. Enjoy the episode. All right, you're done recording. If you wanted to, you could record as you're going, but I'm just going to press stop here, up on the top. All transcribed for me. This is all stuff I'm not going to use. Oh, it's Appliance Studio Sound, so we're not going to get audio for a sec. But I'm going to delete the stuff that I don't want. So I'm going to use the script to delete the section, all that pre-ramble that I had. And enjoy the episode is the last thing I want. So I'll also delete this. And we're good to go. Quick comment about deleting or striking out. You saw earlier I struck some text out. Strike through, which we call ignore, which still removes the audio and video, but you see the edits that you've made in the script. So the way I got there is I selected some text and I chose ignore right here. I love that because you can see the edits that you've made. So if you're working with other people or you're just like want to know what you've removed, it's so helpful. And it's really easy just to bring stuff back in by highlighting it again and unignoring it. But for this case, I know I'm never going to include this in my podcast. So I'm just going to outright delete it and remove it. So it's just cleaned up and kind of out of sight, out of mind. So those are the two ways to edit using the script. Delete, which will delete the text and delete the underlying audio and video, or ignore, which will strike it out, but also delete the underlying audio and video. Those are two ways to edit in Descript using the script.
Awesome. Cool.
All right. So I have welcome to the Descript podcast. My name is Kevin and I'm your host. And today we are talking to Adrian and Greg from Ecamm. Enjoy the episode. All right. Timeline editing 101. I'm going to do two things in the timeline that I think are going to help you very much. If you're new to editing using Descript or new to producing your video podcast, one is just dead space. So you can see here, there's just a big awkward pause that I don't want to have in my podcast, obviously. So I'm going to go into the timeline and remove that. My favorite tool for removing pauses is using the range tool, which is in this dropdown right here. It allows me to select a range and remove it. So I'll use the range tool, and you can see these word tabs are associated with these shapes, which we call waveforms. So I know when I'm speaking and when I'm not, and what I'm saying. Enjoy the episode. I'll probably stop around there. So I'll just click and drag using the range tool and delete it, just like that. Same thing goes for any other space that I might want. I can just click that, delete it, and make any of these spaces shorter. Also do that by clicking and dragging these tabs around, which is really nice. So two ways to remove space in your timeline. Use the range tool in this tools dropdown, or click and drag these tabs to the left, which will shorten up some space for you. It will create a little bit of a jump, obviously, because you're changing. My name is Kevin, and I'm your host. And today we are, but nice way to shorten up those pauses.
Cool. Kevin, related to that, some folks had asked how to make those edits a little bit more softer so it's not so jumpy. Do you have any tips for that?
Definitely. We're going to use a crossfade transition. So this is number 2 in the timeline, the other thing I wanted to mention. So when you make an edit, you might have a little bit of a jump. Let me see here. My name is Kevin, and I'm your host. And today we can see my canvas up there jumped a tiny bit. I'm going to click and drag this little tab, this white ball here on the edit line, and I'm going to click and drag it across the edit line, which will give me a nice crossfade. And it'll smooth out the edit for me. So it's going to fade out the previous clip and fade in the next clip at the same time. Kevin, and I'm your host. And today we are talking, just smooths out that edit a little bit.
Beautiful. Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And that's how we record. Some quick edits that'll help you out, remove the pretty common pauses and awkward beginnings and awkward endings. And then you can take this and add it to another edit that you're working on or wherever it might be. Or you're just recording your whole episode just like this. So up to you.
Sweet.
All right. We have, we've talked about getting everything in a Descript. We should probably talk about some editing. I'm going to go back to Marilyn and Petra's conversation and we can just go through and make some edits to this interview. Does that sound good?
Let's do it.
Cool. So this is completely raw, brought in.
One.
And I'm going to replicate the stuff that we did earlier when we did that faster workflow. We delete the beginning that we don't want, so it starts nice and clean.
My name is Marilyn Moser. I am the Influencer Marketing Manager here at...
Just like that. Again, just editing the text like a doc to remove the sections that we don't want. I added studio sound, which is in our audio effects right here. So I click the plus button, choose audio repair and studio sound. That'll process for us, and that's going to remove background noise and just make them sound like they're in a studio talking nice and close and warm to a microphone. Do a couple other things. I'm going to go up to our stars or our magic menu up here and do some Descript magic. I could shorten word gaps, which would shorten any moments of silence. So if you have a lot of pauses in your interview, perhaps you want to run that. Very easy to do. You shorten word gaps. You decide any gaps that are, in this case, I could do like 1 or more seconds. I could shorten them down to whatever length that I want and click apply to all. So it's going to take all of these 4 sections in this interview that are 1 point something seconds, just happen to be, and it's going to shorten them down to 1 second. So the longest pause that we have is going to be 1 second. Apply to all, boom, shortened, really nice. The second step that I might want to do is remove filler words. And I'm using our Pro plan here, which gives us a ton of options for filler words. All of these ums and uhs and you knows and everything like that. So you could use all of these, or you could deselect all and just choose the ones you want. I'll do you know, and repeated words for this one. But perhaps there's some others in there. And I'm going to choose ignore the way we remove the media instead of outright delete. So I know that there was something removed there and I can bring it back if I need to by unignoring it in the script. And then I click apply to all. And it's going to remove all of these filler words here. And it's going to ignore them in the script. Beautiful. And then the last thing I'm going to do, because we have 2 video files in this, I'm going to add a scene by active speaker, which means every time the speaker changes, it's going to create a scene on the left side here, and it's going to full screen that active speaker. I can always change it while I'm editing, but this is a great first step for any interview-based, interview style kind of remote recorded show. So I'll click that, and now I have a new scene every time speakers change. Like so. And you're probably wondering, what the heck is a scene? So scenes are our way of creating new sections in a video where you can change the layout or add or change visuals for that specific section. And because it's just that section, just that scene, it doesn't affect the rest of the video. So in this case, if I wanted to change the layout of this scene, I could click the scene, change the layout, add visuals, add stock footage from our media library, whatever I wanted to do. And it's only going to change, you can see here, that scene by itself. It keeps all the other scenes intact. So it's a really quick and easy way to have different sections of your video and change the layout, change the look and feel of them to be more custom to your liking.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna take a pause here. Anything we can check out, Christiana?
There was a question about studio sound I could bring up here.
Sure.
Can you apply studio sound to each track separately, or is it to the whole file?
Such a great question. If you only brought in one file with multiple speakers, it's obviously going to only add it to that file and to both of those speakers. So another +1 for bringing in multiple tracks. Right here, the way I added it to this interview is obviously in this menu, this audio effects menu, and it is applying it to each individual track behind the scenes in that sequence. So right now, my studio sound settings are at 100% for both Petra and Marilyn. And if I make any changes to this, it's going to change it for both of them. This is our intensity, basically how much studio sound is applied to the audio. But if I want that to be different, so say Marilyn's audio is like really background noisy and crummy, but Petra's is really good, I could right click in the script, go to edit sequence, and I could choose one or the other tracks and make a change to them here. So I could turn it off if I wanted to, or I could have the intensity be different for one of the tracks and not the other. Just by selecting it and changing it.
Sweet. And then there's one great question about scenes, if I can throw that in there.
Please.
If we set up the layout / framing on one scene, can we then copy those attributes across to various other scenes easily?
Oh, yeah. So you can copy and paste scene attributes and settings, and you can also copy and paste visual attributes and settings. So something I can do is change the layout of something in one scene, click apply to all scenes, and every time that visual shows up in a scene, it's going to apply it. So you can see here in scene 3, there it is, looks pretty good. So that's one option. Apply to all scenes. I can also make a custom change. So maybe I want all my videos dead center like this. What I could do is copy that by right-clicking it and go to any other visual. So in this case, it could be in a different scene. It could be a shape or anything. I can right-click that other visual anywhere else in this edit and paste attributes. In this case, it's going to paste the layout settings and make that nice and centered in this case.
Awesome.
And I could go through and apply that to all scenes or go individually however I'd like and paste attributes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. One other question that just
keep them coming. Yeah.
Sweet. If you use the magic menu to see each person on their own when they speak, how do you adjust that so that in some cases you see both people? P.S. Your beard is next level, and I do have to say, Kevin, I know they're talking about you. There's been a few mentions of how awesome your beard is. So
wow, it's beard day.
Beard day.
I thank you. Thank you. Amazing. So that's a great question. Scenes, like we said, are the way we section up a video to change the layout. So anywhere you want the layout to change, you can either use an existing scene that you've created by using that Add Scenes by Active Speaker shortcut, or you can just create a new scene for that specific section. So I did it earlier. I'll try to replicate that exact same thing. So here we go.
My good friend and musician, wonderful independent musician, Miss Petra Gerard. She's coming to us today from New York.
Cool. So I could create another scene right here by either clicking in the script and adding a scene by that slash or using slash on my keyboard. But my favorite way lately to add scenes is by selecting the script where I want that scene to be made, both at the start point and at the end point. You can always adjust this after if you need to, but I select that section of the script and then I press slash on my keyboard and it's going to create a start point and an end point to that scene right where I want it. So you can see now there's a slash here and there's a slash here. And scene 2 is now this new section where I want the layout to change. And everything I do visually to this scene, it's only going to change it for that scene. So I could be like, okay, I want to bring Petra back perhaps. So I can click that scene, go to my layers list right here, and you can see I have Marilyn and Petra. And I can choose to show or hide the layer. So I could hide Marilyn or show Marilyn. I could also show Petra or hide Petra. like that. Really easy way to change the layout. And again, it's just for the scene. So scene 3, scene 1, these are all going to stay the same, but scene 2 is just a new layout, a different layout of my video.
Awesome.
So I have those there, and I can rearrange them however I want. I could have, I showed you earlier, I had Petra kind of float in for a little bit, and then we had Marilyn in there. Boom.
Cool.
Yeah, just like that.
Kevin, maybe really quick, you could throw a background behind them to show off how you can add a little difference, a little color to your, yeah.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, let's do it. So I'll go to the first scene. I'm going to go up to our stock media library and go to backgrounds.
Nice fish right there.
Yeah. It's always funny to see what the first results are. a little perch.
Yeah.
Yeah, surrounded by all these beautiful
So
landscapes. All right, so I'm going to go to backgrounds, which is under our videos, and just choose the background of my liking. There's some really epic stuff here. These are all animated moving backgrounds, but I could also go into images and find a background that I like. It doesn't need to be anything. It could be anything that I want, I guess, is the real thing. So this is a nice one. I'm going to add this in. I'll maybe change the layout a little bit. Get that looking how I want. You can see now that this covered up all of the other layers in this scene, which is kind of tough.
Mm-hmm.
So scenes are also organized by these layers, kind of like stacks of paper. So there's some on top of another on others, and some are larger than others. So if you have a larger piece of paper on a stack of smaller pieces of paper, obviously it's covering up the ones underneath. Same with layers of scenes. You can right click them and change the order. So I could send it to the back or to the bottom layer, or move it one step back. We could also click on that scene again to see all of the available layers and select them as I need. So another easy way to focus one layer. So what I might do is right click this one, send it to the back, and it's going to tuck it below any layers that exist there.
Awesome.
And what I might do is just copy it and paste it in. So I'll copy, and paste. And the same thing, I'll just send it to the back, just like that. And I can drop in that background how I'd like. Quick way to add, if you are using a background and you don't need it to be any kind of image or anything like that, what you can do is use a scene background. So select the scene, click background, and choose the color that you want right here. So you can add shapes, colors, anything you want that will be like a nice looking background. Go up, add in a shape from the insert menu. I could change the fill color, really have this look and feel exactly how I want.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Cool. So, Kevin, I know we're at time, but there are a lot of requests for intro and outro music.
Ooh.
So, what do you think about getting that in really quick? And folks, if you have to jump, that's okay, because this is recorded and we'll send it out as soon as it's live right now on YouTube. So you can go watch right after this.
Love it.
Cool.
So intro music is so easy. So we have, again, in the stock library, a bunch of royalty-free music that you can use for your show. Search for whatever you're looking for, or just scroll through, audition stuff, figure out what you want in there, and just drag and drop it in where you like it to go. So let's go with positive and uplifting. I can drag this in and just drop it where I want it to start. So if I want it to start right at the beginning, I'll drop it right in. That's added in, and now I can use my timeline to edit that down. So right now it lasts for a really long time. I might hover over the end of the clip. Let me make this bigger so you can see. I might hover over the end of the clip and just drag it towards the beginning, and it will change the end point like so. And I could also add, like we checked out earlier, a nice little fade by clicking and dragging this white bubble, and it'll create a nice gradual fade out.
Wonderful.
Cool. As you saw, that just disappeared. This is such a great opportunity to talk about this timeline setting. We have the ability to show selected layer, which is only going to show a layer that you have selected in the timeline, like that. Or we can show all the layers with this setting, and that'll show every visual and audio layer that you have in your edit. So two differences, two different ways to edit in your timeline. I'm going to play this back.
Wonderful independent musician, Miss Petra Gerard. She's coming to us today from New York City, and where she actually performs. That's where she's based out of. And today we're going to be chatting with her a little bit about how she's bringing her music and her artistry into the space of TikTok.
Nice little fade out.
For those unfamiliar, TikTok is an enormous video sharing.
And it's gone, just like that.
Beautiful.
Yeah. If you wanted to, something for you to mess around with too, if you wanted to add a little bit of space before the interview started, you can click and drag this word tab to give yourself a little bit of space at the beginning, which can be really nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, Kevin, thank you so much for that. Where should folks go to keep their learning going after this, after watching this?
Well, go to our help center for sure. help.descript.com. Tons of great resources there. Go to our YouTube page. We have all of our past events in our events playlist. Come join our Discord. We have office hours happening. We have just so many different channels for community help and support, so you can ask any kind of question there. But keep in touch with us, and if you're experiencing any issues or you have a random question about Descript, you can submit a ticket to our amazing support team and get some help and get unlocked.
Absolutely. And folks, your feedback on our live events is super important to us, and we're always trying to make these better. So in the poll section, we just set live a couple of polls about how you found this content and how you found this event. And of course, in our follow-up email, you have the opportunity to fill out a form where you can give us ideas for future events. So let us know what you would like to see. Yes, this is recorded. As a final reminder, check it out on YouTube right now, and we'll send it out. And do not forget that if you're new here, use code VIDEOPODCAST at checkout, and you will get a month of free Descript Pro.
That's right.
Cool. Kevin and I have a one-on-one next week, so just check out our Crowdcast page and keep the learning going. We'll see you then. And yeah, this has been a blast. Kevin, thanks so much. Thanks to Jay from our team and Marcelo. And we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you all. See you soon.
Bye.